Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Other Ghuys, the Celtic Down Under series, all about talking to Celtic fans from all of the other places in the world. I'm your host, John, and today I'm joined by Vineet Varma from Chennai, India. How are you doing, Vineet?
That's fine, sir, John, sir. I'm absolutely honored that Celtic Down Under and the Australian leg of Glasgow Celtic, the fans club, has invited me on this podcast. I'm absolutely honored, and I hope it would be great to speak to you, sir.
Well, it's an honor to have you. Hopefully this will be a very insightful conversation. Just a little bit of news past couple of days. The legend Bertie Auld has been diagnosed with dementia, which is horrible to hear. Our thoughts are with him and his family. It's a horrible disease, dementia. So hopefully that's not too bad for him. So let's just crack in, I guess. Why don't you tell us, Vineet, a little bit about where you're from?
Yeah, sir. So actually, my name is Vineet. So I actually was from Mumbai, but because of work commitments, have shifted to Chennai. So as I can clearly say, as in respect to football, India and the subcontinent, it is huge. So in terms of European football interest, it is huge. The people here are plain crazy about European football. But as you know, cricket is the main sport in India, right? And in the subcontinent. But football, European football, when I started following Celtic and European and world football from 2003, when they reached the UEFA Cup final. So there was a huge interest here. Like when the television came in, the Premier League started coming in, the UEFA Cup, the Euro 2000, when Zidane's France won the Trezeguet scored the golden goal, right? So there was a huge buzz of interest here. It like a chain wave. The people have been hooked on to European football because of its sheer quality. And there is a huge passionate fan base in India. The Premier Leagues, the Juventuses, the PSGs, the Bundesligas, the La Ligas, people are absolutely in love with European football. And of course, a few Asian football as well. So the place where I am from is Mumbai. So when I was in Mumbai, the top club here was Mumbai FC. It used to play in the I League, but now because of financial constraints, it got shut down. So in India, the main football league is ISL, as you know, Indian Super League. And one of your players, Ian Hume from Leeds United, he used to play in Leeds, right? So he played for Kerala Blasters. So there are a lot of like Michael Chopra, ex-Sunderland, ex-Watford and Newcastle, right? So Michael Chopra also played in the ISL. So India, I think, is a good destination for, the league here, the Indian Super League or the I League or even the lower levels like Elite or Super Division, the semi-professional levels. So people or the players who are like in the 30s or something, they show a huge interest to come and play here from England or from any European country. So if you say Marco Materazzi, the Italian World Cup winner, he was the coach and manager of Chennai City FC in the ISL. So India is huge. So in terms of course, Celtic and Glasgow Rangers and Hearts, Kilmarnock, or even Dundee United, the Scottish clubs, they don't have a market or that presence in India. But if you compare any other European nation, a big European nation like even France, the PSG, or say even Borussia Dortmund, the people here are absolutely crazy with European football. So, but I am one of the very few members, like out of 50, I am the only guy who knows a little bit about Scottish football, and I follow Scottish football. So I hope the Scottish players come. And one of your players here, Andy Robertson, his father is Mason Robertson. So he plays for Real Kashmir in the I League and in the ISL or I League. So he's also a Scottish lad. So I follow Scottish football. So I'm a Celtic fan. So I'm following Scottish football and Celtic since 2003, sir.
That's brilliant. Yeah. It's good to hear that India is such a passionate sport country, that there's this, like you're saying, there's so many different sports and leagues that you guys follow. And it's good to hear as well that there's some people who follow Scottish football that's not in Scotland or Ireland. Yeah. So how far is Chennai from Mumbai, for those of us that don't know? Are they quite close?
So I'll get to that. No, it's not close, sir. Actually, there's a 24-hour distance. If you like, in London, there's a subway, right? So if you take a train, it is a 1-day journey. So it would take about 18, 19 or 1 hours by train or 3 hours by plane. So Chennai, the main clubs here are Chennai City FC, which plays in the I League, the Indian League, and the ISL, the Indian Super League. It is Chennai FC. So the people here in India, not only in Chennai, even in India. So the main states which are crazy about football. They have a huge football passion. That is Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Bengal, Kolkata, where Kolkata is, Bengal, Mumbai, and Kerala. So if you go to like even in the insides in the interiors of Chennai or even in the interiors of Kerala, like places like Malappuram, Manjeri. So one of our players, CK Vineet, he's from Manjeri, Kerala, Malappuram. He plays for Kerala Blasters, the club which Ian Hume used to play for, and I presume Ian Hume used to play for Leeds United, right? So India is a football-loving nation. So and I'm absolutely sure like it is pretty good that people from Europe are coming and playing in India in the Indian Super League, which gives our players a lot of experience. And our players' game also improves when we play with higher standard players from say Europe or even like countries like Bulgaria or Slovakia or Slovenia. So the passion is there, the talent is there, but the only thing is like we need a little bit of European help to build that system and a long-term plan which will help India move up the ladder. Not forget the world, even in Asia. So the talent and passion is there. So even if you come to Chennai or places like Mumbai or like absolutely crazy places like Kerala or Goa, say Goa, which was a Portuguese colony. So the people are absolutely in love with football. So India is a football-loving nation. It's a cricket nation, but it's also a football-loving nation.
Just sounds like a very passionate sport nation. Are there many fans that watch Indian football compared to, say, the same fans that watch European football? Do you get big crowds of 60,000 plus, or is it, they're more focused towards watching European football?
No, sir. So I'll give you a frank answer. They are more focused toward watching European football. So even if you go to say a local football match in India, there is absolutely no crowd. The interest rate amongst the public, that is more towards cricket. So India, the number one sport in India is cricket, right? So if it's a cricket match, the ground will be full, the stadium will be full. The Indian Premier League, right? So or even say India, the national team plays in any World Cup or any cricket game. So it is only and only cricket. And the local football scene in India, the domestic football scene, suppose there is a match between, say, Mumbai FC or a Chennai FC, right, in an I-League. So the crowd, because of the Indian Super League, the ISL, so the marketability has been there. The marketability has been there. The sponsors like Reliance, etc., they have come in, they have put in the money. But if we say European football, if there is a match between, say, Borussia Dortmund or Bayern or El Clasico between Real or Barca, and ask the people around here to choose between an El Clasico and a Mumbai versus Chennai game, they will always choose the El Clasico because European football is more marketable. It's more marketable. The quality is high. And for obvious reasons, people will choose European football. There is not to say that people are not interested. People are there. But the numbers of people who go to a live football game in India is very, very less. So European football, after cricket comes European football. So that's it. So the marketability factor is there in European football. So that is another prime reason. So people absolutely are in love with European football here. So the attendances for local football games is not up to par in India. But if you go to places like Kolkata, say Kolkata or Goa or Kerala, or even the interiors of Tamil Nadu, where people are really in love with football. So if there is suppose a school game or a local domestic game like between Mohan Bagan or East Bengal, the Salt Lake Derby, you must know about it, right? So the stadium would be jam-packed. It would be absolutely full. But if, say, another game like a Real Kashmir or a Mumbai or a Chennai or a Mumbai, which is not that high in profile, sorry boss, no one is absolutely interested in it. You will see maximum 500 people in the stadiums.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That is the...
Unfortunately, that is my honest Australian opinion. Football as well. To be honest, that's the crowds of Australian football have been getting less and less over the past probably 5-6 years, to the point where it is maybe 1,000 people in empty stadiums, which is a shame because the standard of football in Australia is quite good. That's great to hear. So you kind of touched on it before about how you became a Celtic fan in 2003 during the Europa League final. Do you want to just elaborate why you chose Celtic? What was it about watching Celtic in that final that made you become a Celtic fan that day?
So I'll explain. So obviously we reached the final. Celtic reached the final. So there was an almighty fight back from Larsson and the team. So Larsson scored that amazing header, right? So we almost like fought back and almost like pushed Porto to the brink, but they had a certain Jose Mourinho, and we were a man down. Valde got the red card in extra time, right? So that Porto had the numerical superiority plus an amazing, fantastic world-class coach. So Celtic went down. But I like the spirit, the passion, the fans singing, you will never walk alone in the stadium. So what struck me about Celtic, the best thing was, like, when I saw that was the first absolute Celtic game I saw live on TV, the UEFA Cup final. It was in Lisbon, right. So the passion of the Scottish fans, they are absolutely in love with football. So what I analyze and see, they love their football. So even like in the stadium, people are holding up the green and white scarves, and they're like roaring their team on, like, come on Celtic, yeah, go for it, yeah, fight for it, come on. But they lost, that's a different matter. But the Scottish fans, or even like any other European country, say, the fans are absolutely in love with football. So the passion of the fans and that fighting spirit of Celtic, like even if you say 1967, when Bertie Auld and Jimmy Johnson and that great amazing team, they broke that catenaccio of Inter Milan and won the final, the Lisbon Lions, right? So that community feeling, that spirit, that fighting spirit, never give up, die, that spirit, and that passion amongst us, that's amongst the Scottish fans, that is what makes Celtic special. So I really like that club. I really like the club. Seriously, I even follow it today. So that was the one best thing which caught my eye. So the passion, the fighting spirit, the true Scottish grit, right? Like, say, like Alex Ferguson, like he helped Aberdeen break the duopoly of Scottish and Rangers, like, and the Pittodie won the champions, the other cup, European.
The Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah.
And they also broke the duopoly. So what my honest opinion is, the Scottish people, the Scottish fans are absolutely passionate about football, and that is the best thing about them. So even if the team is losing, they're down and out. Like even when Celtic was losing against Porto, or like even now, Rangers broke the streak of 10 in a row, right? They didn't allow them to win 10 in a row. So the fans are not plastic. They back their clubs even when the chips are down. Their backs are against the wall. The fans are so passionate about their club. They support the club to the hilt, and that passion, the energy, that fighting spirit, never say die spirit, which is that Scottish trait, right? Like, say, Sir Alex Ferguson had that trait, that Aberdeen spirit of not giving up, like true, like an Aberdeen granite, just be tough and keep on fighting. So that is the best thing about Scottish football and Celtic, I feel.
Very, very true. I was a little bit too young to go and watch that final in Seville, but my father and his uncle and my uncle and all of their friends, they went, and they just said it was one of the biggest parties they had, despite losing. They just had, It was just a party from non-stop, because like you were saying, they were happy to be there, and they were happy to support Celtic, and that's what it's all about. Do you follow any other football teams apart from Celtic? Do you have other European teams that you quite like?
Yeah, I am a Liverpool fan. So I also like Liverpool since when they won the Istanbul final, when Steven Gerrard and the team won that miraculously, they won that final. So I have also been following Liverpool since 2005. So coincidentally, both set of fans, Celtic and Liverpool, have the same anthem, "You will never walk alone," and they have that same passion and energy in their stadiums, right? So like even when the chips are down, both fans, even Celtic and Liverpool, they back their team to the hilt. They are not plastic. Like, say, now in this generation, they have the Manchester Cities, the PSGs. So the fans are pretty plastic. Once they're losing, like, say, a Chelsea, like they're losing, they fire the manager, or the fans turn their back on the team. Like, we don't want to support this team. It's not like that. The Celtic, Liverpool, or even like, say, our big enemy Rangers, or even say some other Scottish team like Kilmarnock or Dundee United or Dunfermline. So the fans, they have the history, the tradition, and the legacy. So the fans are loyal. They like support the team to the maximum, and the energy in the stadium is fantastic. So my brother stays in the United Kingdom. He used to live in Exeter, Exeter, right? UK. Mm-hmm. So he's a huge Birmingham City fan. So he has shared me his experiences of how when Birmingham play Aston Villa in the derby, so how the crowd is jam-packed. Like, it's a carnival atmosphere. It is even better than an India-Pakistan cricket game. That is what they're saying. So that's it. So he even went and watched Celtic versus Rangers at Ibrox. So he shared me his experiences. So that's it. Like, so that is the best part, the passion, the energy. So that's it.
It is. And they're very similar. I mean, a lot of Irish immigrants moved to Liverpool during the Irish diaspora as well. So that's why, it's all those roots. There's that big passionate fan base. Do you get to watch many Celtic games at all whilst you're in Chennai or Mumbai?
Okay. So actually, as per the technicality, the Scottish Premier League games used to be telecasted here before, but now I don't think they telecast any Scottish Premier League games. So that odd game like Celtic versus Rangers, a big game is there, that gets telecast sometimes on TV, like say a 10 Sports or some Sky Sports or something. You can even watch it online, like through live streaming. But that interest is not there. So as what the people have that craze for, say, even the Bundesliga or the Premier League, that craze is not here. So Scottish football, I'll be frank with you, Scottish football doesn't have a market in India as of yet. So I am the odd guy out. So I am the only odd guy who's following Scottish football. So if you ask any other kid on the street or the guys who are following European football, so what happened, like say between Celtic versus Dunfermline or Celtic versus Dundee United, they have no clue, because they know the people here know that the Scottish football is there, the teams, they know the names of the teams, and even like Scott Brown plays for Celtic, right, etc., etc., etc. But that passion and that interest which is there in the major European leagues, that is just not there in the subcontinent, I feel. So Scotland, I think, if they can set up a good base and establish a market in India, I guess. So that's it.
Would you say that if you were to walk down the streets and you were wearing a Celtic top, people would recognize what that shirt is? Would they recognize the green and white stripes?
Yes, sir. So if out of 10, 3 football fans would recognize a Celtic or a Rangers top, if they are really genuine hardcore football fans like me. So I religiously follow football, right? So out of 10, 2 or 3 people would recognize a Celtic top, but the rest, sorry, it's only cricket.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that is the biggest sport. I mean, it's probably the biggest sport in Australia as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Celtic player?
My favorite Celtic player, actually, I have 2. It's Henrik Larsson and Shunsuke Nakamura. Nakamura, obviously, that amazing free kick against Manchester United, which helped Celtic win. So that was like absolutely superb. So I guess Larsson and Nakamura, I have 2 players. So Larsson and Nakamura were absolute legends for Celtic. So I read in an interview like how Nakamura used to practice his free kicks, like even after training. So he used to religiously practice his free kicks from like the crossbar challenge, etc., etc., etc. So these 2 are my favorite Celtic players. Larsson for his never say die spirit. So even when Larsson played for Manchester United, he went on loan, right? When like Alex Ferguson signed him up for Manchester United. So there was one particular game against, I guess, Arsenal or something. So even the United players were like blown away by his energy, the work rate, like how from the center forward till he falls back to the defense and even chips in with the defending, doesn't only play as a forward. So Henrik Larsson was an absolute Celtic legend. I like that player. He's my favorite player. Even Nakamura, I like Nakamura thanks to his free kick. So that amazing win against United, that free kick was like, man, it was simply superb. So these are my 2 favorite Celtic players.
Yeah. Again, 2 absolute greats. Yeah. I think speaking to other people as well, I think a lot of people say Larsson because he was one of the greatest modern Celtic players. And Nakamura as well, just the free kick technicality was just, it was unbelievable. It was a joy to watch. And hopefully with Postecoglou coming in, having managed in the J League, he can find another Nakamura, but maybe he's one in a million. My favorite was Boba Bowdy. Boba Bowdy and Larsson. There were just 2 fantastic players. Apart from, because I think you maybe have already spoken about it, apart from the 2003 UEFA Cup final, do you have any other favourite Celtic moments?
Yeah, I'll tell. So, when we beat Barcelona 2-1, Fraser Foster pulled off those amazing superhuman saves. That was another amazing moment. Like when I saw the game, right? In India, it comes at 12 o'clock in the night, midnight, right? The UEFA Champions League games. So Foster was seriously amazing. He was the number of saves he made against Messi in that game, and that unstoppable Barcelona team, that was simply superb. So the cheered on by that frantic home support and the energy in the stadium, Celtic pulled off an absolute amazing 2-1 win. Of course, yes, Messi scored late in the game, but that was too late, I guess. So Celtic, that was another amazing moment when Celtic beat Barcelona 2-1, thanks to Foster's amazing heroic display under the bar. And that was an absolute amazing game. It was an unforgettable game. So I still cannot forget it. That was another big moment for me.
It really was. It was again, that's a lot of other people's favorites as well. And you're right. Foster's just in the goal, absolutely dominating. And we took our chances, right? With Watt and Wanyama's goals. It was just, we had the right opportunity and we took them. And it's like I was saying before, it was, that game's going to go into folklore. It's just such a fantastic win for us. Look, obviously last season wasn't the best for Celtic, and it was such a drop in performance from what we expected and what we were watching probably 12 months, 10 months before to really capitulate that much to the point where we threw away the 10. So it'd be interesting to hear what your thoughts are going to be for next season. How do you think next season is going to go? What do you think of our new manager, Postecoglou?
Yes, sir. Actually, I feel Postecoglou, the Greek manager, is not bad. He's good. But my personal opinion would be, like, from what I've analyzed in these last 10 years, Celtic is like a big fish in a small pond. Like, because like we are winning the Scottish Derby, we are beating Rangers. Like even the 10 in a row, forget it, we didn't win 10 in a row, but they are dominating Scotland. But in Europe, like countries like even Holland or like say another country like Holland or Scotland. So the clubs from these countries, they are miles behind the big European teams, I guess, because like earlier Celtic used to qualify for the main proper European round. So that is not even happening. Even like a club, the Romanian champion CFR Cluj, they beat Celtic.
Sorry, we've just lost Vineet there for a second. We'll just try and get him back. Can you hear me? There we are. We can hear you now. Yeah.
So, see, we lost to CFR's Cluj, right, in the qualifying of the Champions League. So, so my honest opinion is like Celtic is like a big fish in a small pond. So when we go to Europe, so the quality of football is different. The teams have zoomed ahead. So like it's like I say the major European teams are like 10, 15 years ahead of Scotland and Holland, I guess now. So so if the team is not even able to qualify for the first round of the Champions League proper, right? So I think a long-term plan, like a 10-year or 15-year plan should be put with first qualification in a target and then establishing our position there and then winning the Europa League and then the Champions League. So for that to happen and a long-term plan with a little bit of investment and a total revamp of the structure, the business model, of course, we cannot hang on to 2003 or 1967 anymore because the world and the football world has changed. Everything has evolved and adapted. The teams have moved on. So in 2003, there was no gegenpressing, right? So now there is gegenpressing, right? So everything has changed. So my personal opinion as a fan would be to put a long-term plan, say a 10-year plan. So which would allow Celtic to regularly qualify for the first 4 years for major European competitions, then go far ahead in the competition and even win it after 10 years. So if you say Germany or even like Italy and Netherlands now, so Italy and Netherlands didn't qualify for the World Cup and the Euros. So it was an absolute disaster. They lost to Sweden in the qualifiers. So now after putting that 10-year plan and doing a total revamp and a total rehaul of the model. So you see Italy like are the favorites and Netherlands and Italy or even Belgium, they're the favorites to win the tournament. So even Germany in Euro 2000, when they crashed out in the first round, losing to England and Romania and like getting a draw against Romania, or even in the Euro 2004 when they couldn't even beat Latvia, they could only manage a 0-0 draw against Latvia. They put a 10-year plan, revamped everything, the entire model, and put investment. And in 2014 they won the World Cup. So that is the need of the hour. So I personally feel Celtic has not evolved and adapted. So the model I think has not adapted. So it's just the plain old model, and it is sheer foolishness to expect Celtic or any team to get results and win European trophies with that old model. So adaptive evolution, that is the need of the hour. We need to put a 10 or 15-year plan, do a total revamp right from top to bottom, bring in fresh players and revamp everything, like if possible, right from academy to the top, and put a long-term plan and plan for the future. And hopefully by 2029 or 30 or in 10 years time, we can make it big in Europe, win first the Europa League and then the Champions League.
Absolutely. I mean, that'd be fantastic if we could even get there in 10 years. The financial gulf between, Celtic, but Scottish football in general and other European leagues is huge. But hopefully this season we'll see a transition period where we are getting this modern revamp, which potentially Brendan Rodgers started, but that's kind of got knocked back recently with the appointment of a director of football, with the evolution of data analytics and sports analytics and stuff like that, where we can actually use that to interpret how players are doing, whether they're in form or out of form and stuff. Do you think the new manager and Postecoglou is that person? Do you think he can bring in this new era at Celtic where we can put a 10-year plan in place? Or do you think he is the beginning of that process, as in like he himself might not be able to do it, but he might be the start of something bigger?
Yeah, so sir, actually, from what I analyzed, like I think Postecoglou is just the first brick or the stepping stone. So I don't know. I cannot say because after Postecoglou, will a new manager come or not? But I think the signs are positives. Of course, Steven Gerrard and Rangers took away the 10 in a row from us. So I think the signs are encouraging because after losing to like CFR Clutch, we beat Clutch again. I guess right in the Europa League this thing right qualifiers na. So the signs are encouraging. So I think Postecoglou is a step in the right direction. So it is the first brick and the first stepping stone to a better future, I think. So there is nothing wrong with Postecoglou. I think the Greek manager is a good manager. So, but after say like a good 2-3 years, I think the club needs to find really someone like how Mainz bought in Jurgen Klopp. So Mainz went from the third tier to the first Bundesliga, right? Or how Klopp helped Dortmund break the monopoly of Bayern in the Bundesliga. Or the need of the hour is a long-term plan with a Jurgen Klopp or a Jose Mourinho or some revolutionary coach who can help Celtic break this negative cycle and finally strike the big deal in Europe.
And I think that was what a lot of Celtic fans were complaining about when we did sign Ange. Was we went from Brendan Rodgers, who was probably the exact type of manager you're describing, that sort of modern, revolutionary type of appointment, and we took a massive step down when we went back to Neil Lennon. And obviously, it was a disappointment when what we really wanted is to learn from our mistakes by appointing Lennon and appointing somebody like Rodgers again. And we might have that. We might have that in Postecoglou, but what we really want is maybe to find the next Mourinho or the next Klopp, like you're saying, and maybe that's hard to get when every other team in Europe is also trying to find that X factor. But you're right. We should be putting ourselves out there and we should be trying to find these managers. I'm sure you're aware that next season is huge. Because next season, whoever wins the Scottish League automatically qualifies for the Champions League. Do you think that's possible with the squad that we have at the moment, assuming we don't sign anyone in the transfer window, when we compare it to Rangers, Steven Gerrard's Rangers, on the best day, the best of Celtic, so not when they're playing poorly, but when they're playing at their best, do you think that Celtic can beat Steven Gerrard's Rangers next season?
Yeah, sir. So, hello.
Yes, I'm still there.
Yeah, sir. Just hold on 1 second. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yep, go ahead.
So, from what I feel, Rangers, so they broke our 10 in a row. So, the Rangers are little bit ahead of Celtic, I guess. So, of course, Gerrard was a good player. But as far as management is concerned, I don't think Gerrard is a Klopp or even someone like, say, a Jurgen Klinsmann or someone who can work a real miracle, right? Because for management is a different ball game from playing. So I think if Celtic can win, they can win the league and they can even qualify for the Champions League proper. But once we get to the Champions League proper, the big teams are there. So my honest opinion is I personally don't feel with this squad Celtic can go beyond the second round or even reach to the quarterfinals because the competition is huge. The other teams have evolved and adapted, and the quality of players is there. They have the big treasury and the war chest to buy the best players, right? So Celtic and Rangers, I personally don't feel they can go beyond the first round, even if they go to the Champions League proper, because I think it would take a good number of years, 8 or 9 more years, for them to make a mark in Europe. Because now it is very unrealistic from our end to expect them to go to the Champions League final now. That is very unrealistic, right? So we need to be a bit practical, right?
Totally agree. I think, and especially with the likes of the European Super Leagues getting talked about and stuff, if those ever happens, it's the death of all the other domestic leagues, and Celtic would really suffer from that as well. But yeah, I agree. I think expectations are low for any sort of Champions League success. But European success in the form of the new Conference League or Europa League, that should be attainable, I reckon, in 5 to 8 years. But yes,
Europa Conference League.
Yes, the new Conference League. I think we should really be thinking about in the next couple of years trying to win that. That should be, I do believe that. I'm not saying anytime soon. It could be again a 5 to 8 year plan, but we should be able to win that. That was brilliant. I think we'll just wrap it up there. thank you very much for your answers. Do you have any shout outs to anybody, or do you want to say any messages at all to the listeners?
So my shout out would be that I am also part of the Sports Journalist, which is a sports media portal in Mumbai. So we would love to come and interview the Celtic fan groups, like say in Australia or any other countries, like even in Glasgow. So me and Mr. Rizvi, as part of the Sports Journalist, would love to come and speak to you people and cover Celtic, and also try to find the Indian connection, like the past, like say how Mohammad Salim used to play for Celtic. Like we had that Indian connection, right? So we would love to do a big feature interview or a documentary of sorts on Celtic fan groups down under, or any other fan group related to Celtic. So here's hoping that it happens soon, and we from India can come to down to Scotland, or you guys from Scotland can come down to India, and meeting or a documentary or a interview or even a small movie of shorts can be shot, which can help bring awareness of Scottish football in India and help more people know about Scottish football and increase the marketability. So I am a Celtic fan for life now. I really like the club. So it was a great, absolute honor that Celtic fans down under and Mr. John has asked me for this interview and given their valuable time to me. I am really honored. So I hope that I get this opportunity to come down to Scotland, or you guys come here and we can do for the Sports Journalist, we can do a movie or a documentary or an interview of sorts.
Well, yeah, the honor is all ours again. Well, thank you very much for that. And if you are interested in participating in being interviewed for Vineet's media agency, then get in touch. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's listening for your support. Please subscribe to our channel on Spotify or any of your streaming services. Thank you very much for listening. Hail, hail.